The hype that once existed for superhero movies has really died down over the past couple of years, and the most recent films to release and that are releasing also aren't going over so well. Captain America and the Brave New World was not the smashing success they expected it to be. We, of course, have Thunderbolts, which is right around the corner, and there's zero hype for that. But Fantastic Four was a bit of a different story because I do feel a lot of people were hoping it was going to be good. The casting was pretty solid, and there wasn't a lot of controversial marketing material up until now because a bunch of the cast members are coming out and making statements about how they are going to modernize this movie and explore things like gender politics. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, this is a movie I actually had a little bit of hype for because even though last year we heard rumors about a potential gender swap, I still felt like the casting was pretty good and the theme of the movie seemed to be okay. But as time has gone on and we're getting closer to release, a lot more things are popping up, and a lot of people are now talking about it. So, going back to 2023, this kind of got big last year as well. We heard that Marvel Studios was going to gender swap Silver Surfer in the upcoming Fantastic Four reboot, reset the clock, having seemingly learned nothing from their recent string of misfires. A new rumor suggests that Marvel Studios' upcoming reboot of the Fantastic Four will deviate from the first family's original comic book source material by portraying their sometimes ally, the Silver Surfer, as a woman instead of a man. Now, this rumor had lingered for a while. When we saw the official casting of Julia Garner, I think that's when it really started becoming super controversial because, in my opinion, she's really not that good of an actress. I feel like a lot of people also agree maybe she'll do amazing in this role. Who really knows? But this was one of the many problems we had seen, and now there's a slew more. So, the Fantastic Four First Steps is making politically charged MCU changes to characters centered on gender, politics, and masculinity. This is so extremely disappointing to me. I'm so sick and tired of movies coming out and TV shows coming out, and then actors talking about how, well, they actually wanted to rewrite characters and reimagine characters. Sure, I'm certain in part it was not their decision, but they are all gung ho about it. Yeah, like I understand they are told certain answers to give when going into interviews, but it just seems that they're so happy about making these changes, it makes it really hard to want to support them. It says, though, the MCU Fantastic Four will see major politically charged changes to Marvel's classic characters created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in 1961. Nothing is sacred anymore. There are no characters that Hollywood is not willing to reimagine. There are no stories they are willing to, not tear apart or change. They will do anything to chase a politically motivated message in a movie. And that's just so disappointing to me because this could have been really cool. The visuals look pretty good so far. I like a lot of the sets and the costumes. Like, it does not visually look bad. I think some of the actor choices are also pretty good, but then they have a wild statements like this being made, which kills any hype I had for it. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is rolling the dice yet again with Fantastic Four First Steps, the 37th entry in the franchise, which, by the way, is crazy, and it might be its most ideologically loaded to date. Director Matt Shakman and stars Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Eben Moss are aiming for a retro-futurist take on Marvel's first family, but the glossy visuals can't hide a major shift in character dynamics and storytelling focus. Now, I really like Vanessa Kirby. I think Joseph Quinn is okay. Pedro Pascal, while he can act in certain roles, others he completely misses the mark, and he also has made a lot of politically charged statements in the past on social media, and of course he's kind of Disney's golden boy at this point in time, so it's really no shocker that he's part of a project that is politically motivated. But the film represents significant Fantastic Four MCU changes that will see a wild departure from classic depictions. I don't think that any of us go into watching an MCU movie anymore thinking it is going going to be accurate, that it is going to respect the source material, and that it's not going to make any changes at all whatsoever. Like, we have seen this happen too many times. We've been down this road way too many times before to have any trust or faith in them. And that's not to say that they can't make good products anymore, because if they have the right team of actors and writers and producers, they can still create decent movies, like Deadpool and Wolverine, for example. But more times than not, they're creating flops. Now, I think that this movie will probably make them quite a bit of money. There has been quite a bit of hype behind it. But again, as we're getting closer to release, we're hearing more and more controversial things being said. It says, though, let's start with Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. Actor Joseph Quinn openly questions whether the classic version of the character, the brash woman-chasing hotshot that Chris Evans brought to life in the 2005 film, still belongs on screen today. He was branded as this womanizing, devil-may-care guy, but is that sexy these days, he asked? I don't think so. This version of Johnny is less callous with other people's feelings, and hopefully there's a self-awareness about what's driving that attention-seeking behavior. I think this is really funny because it's clear that the execs at Marvel and DC and Warner Brothers and all of these companies that are doing movies, they don't understand that, yes, this is actually what women want to see a majority of the time. If you look at TikTok and you look at kind of book talk and you look at the spicy romances that are being shared there, the women's erotica that's being shared there, you're not reading stories about goody two shoes. You're not reading stories about nice guys doing nice things to women. No. There are women who want to see male characters who are going to chase women. They are interested. And we're not talking about like SA or something insane like that. We're just talking about a guy who's cocky and he's confident. He knows his abilities and he can back them up. And then that's just a big part of his personality. Sure, maybe like 2 movies into a trilogy, he starts softening up and you can actually kind of see through that hot shot mentality. But if you want a woman audience, at least in part, then yes, there are women who want to see characters like this. And for the males, I'm sure that they are perfectly fine with seeing a guy being a badass. As a woman myself, I am perfectly fine with seeing womanizing male characters. That is pretty sexy. At times, again, I don't want to see every single male character act that way, but having one in a single movie is perfectly fine. So right off the bat, they just don't understand a lot of the women who might show up to see this, or really kind of the scope of social media and the content that women are reading. Again, I'm not trying to say that they need to make a movie that specifically caters to a female audience, because when it comes to comic book movies and comic books in general, the audience definitely does skew males, but I don't think males have a problem with seeing this, and there are plenty of women that don't either. Quinn's Johnny is now defined less by fire and flare and more by introspection and social calibration. That's stupid. The old swashbuckling charm that has been swapped for sensitivity, yet another of the notable Fantastic Four MCU changes fans may not have expected or wanted. And then there's Vanessa Kirby Sue Storm, which I do want to point out, I like Vanessa Kirby quite a lot. She's been in a lot of movies I've enjoyed. I think that she has a lot of range, and I was really hopeful for her in this, but now we're also hearing her going on to admit that they're making a lot of changes. Portrayed as both pregnant and politically powerful, the head of the Future Foundation and architect of global peace, Kirby describes Sue not as a superhero, but as a commentary on modern motherhood and womanhood. And this should not be like a controversial statement. Having a commentary on motherhood for a mother character could be perfectly fine, but we know that they're going to push the limits too far. I was obsessed with that chapter of her life, so I wanted to make sure that there were tones of malice in there with her, that she wasn't just the stereotype of a goody sweet mother. I've always been really interested in the mess of femininity, and how can you be both? How can you be all these things? Not just the tough, invincible, powerful woman, but also a mother who gives birth, which is itself a superhero act. The implication is quite clear, though. The Sue of old isn't acceptable anymore. Today, she must embody everything at once wants a maternal figure, a political leader, a complex emotional being, and an empowered icon. This is one of the clearest Fantastic Four political MCU changes, defining the team's new modern audience direction. Then Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards is reimagined not only as the MCU's smartest man, but as a utopian visionary building a new society alongside Sue. The director describes them as a couple constructing a better world. If he is the most scientifically intelligent person, that she is the most emotionally intelligent person on the planet, he said. Between the two of them, they're building an idealistic society, and this idealism replaces the fantastical adventures of the original comics, which amounts to ideological world building. What's crazy to me is that there is really nothing within these statements that truly screams Fantastic Four to me. It doesn't scream epic superhero blockbuster. It just screams we wanted to make a social commentary on the state of the world, and we are just happening to use characters that you're probably going to be slightly interested in, because they know if they created this story with all new characters and a new team name and it didn't have the Fantastic Four name slapped onto it, that there would be a lot of people who would not go and watch this. That's why we see so many reimaginings nowadays. And it's just really disappointing, because I think that this movie could have had something going for it. Again, I really like the aesthetic of this. I think some of the actors in this are pretty good, but the overall tone and theme really seems to be off, at least in my opinion. So there's a lot of controversy surrounding this right now. And I posted on X, are you excited for this movie? Plain and simple. I didn't say if I was or was not excited for it. And a lot of people are commenting things like, they truly don't learn. It's almost impressive how dense they are. About as excited as I would be for a fructose corn syrup enema. Arch, never say that again. Anyone who was excited about this movie wasn't paying any attention to begin with. Disney going 6 feet under can't come soon enough. All their IPs they've taken over the past decade will either go up for auction or public domain, and hey, maybe this will come out and it will be amazing. And maybe these statements are just completely blown out of proportion, though I highly doubt it. These people are told what to say when they go into interviews. They think that this is going to build up hype, but really all they're doing is pushing away potential ticket sales. So I'll be keeping my eye on this. I'm sure talking about it more in the future, but for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.